why Ukraine's Patriots are struggling, and why the Franco-Italian SAMP-T just looks better. What if I told you the enemy isn't just dodging Patriot missiles anymore? They're rewriting their flight paths so the Patriot system can barely see them. And in that moment, a Franco-Italian system called the SAMP-T is quietly proving it still works. Welcome to the next phase of the air defense chess match. Hey friends, Wes here, infantry veteran of the 101st Airborne Division, Air Assault, and the U.S. Air Force, where my toughest deployment was me sipping a pina colada on the beach in Ecuador. That's right, we were doing counter-drug operations before it was cool. Of course, we arrested our bad guys, we didn't blow them up. Here's the scene. The French Army Chief, Fabien Mandonge, recently told lawmakers that the long-standing U.S.-built Patriot PAC-3 MSE system is facing specific challenges when intercepting Russia's Iskander ballistic missiles over Ukraine. The problem isn't minor. According to an analysis by Defense Express on November 7th, the Russians appear to have tweaked the Iskander's flight profile in ways that exploit the weaknesses in the Patriot's radar and interceptor geometry. Meanwhile, the Franco-Italian SAMP-T NG system, much less talked about in popular defense media, appears to be performing better under the same threat conditions. Here's the chief intelligence. Rockets that used to be intercepted by Patriot are now slipping through, whereas the SAMP-T is reported to be catching them. That difference demands attention because it means tactics and geometry may matter more than hardware upgrades. So let's unpack what exactly has changed here. The Iskander missile has always had an in-phase maneuver capability. It's not just a fire and pray, but what recently changed appears to be how Russia is using that maneuverability. No major hardware overhaul, just reprogramming flight paths and trajectories to exploit gaps. According to Defense Express, Russia studied the Patriot system's radar geometry very closely. The AN MPQ-53 radar used in many Patriot batteries has a search sector of roughly 90 degrees and a tracking sector of around 120 degrees. Now, those figures create dead zones, angles, and paths where radar either can't search or can't track effectively. Over more than 2 years of engagement in Ukraine, Russia reportedly mapped these zones and adjusted Iskander's trajectories to fly via those blind spots. In other words, rather than significantly upgrading the Iskander missile, Russia actually played it smart for once. It changed how it launches, when it launches, and from which angle. The Iskander simply began arriving in the Patriot's weak spots. Now, the Patriot might still fly its interceptors, but at the wrong time, or at the wrong angle, or at the wrong segment of the flight. Meanwhile, the SAMP-T system does things a little differently. Its radar, its missile geometry, its sensor integration, and its approach seem less vulnerable to the same blind spots. According to the French Army Chief's remarks, SAMP-T has had fewer penetrations by Iskander missiles. That doesn't mean perfect, but it does mean resilient in a way Patriot currently is not. Now here's the direct relevance for Ukraine. The country is fighting a war where missiles and drones dominate the offensive toolbox. Every interception matters, not just for saving infrastructure or lives, but for morale, deception, and forcing the enemy to rethink timing and targets. If Russia can reliably bypass Patriot defenses with modified Iskanders, then Ukraine's air defense architecture is cracked. It's vulnerable, and every missile, stockpile, and support system becomes endangered. On the flip side, if a system like SAMP-T can close that gap, then Ukraine can restore a credible barrier against ballistic and cruise missile threats. It also sends a signal to allies. Hardware matters, but so do tactics and geometry and training and sensors. It raises the question, are we focusing too much on which missile and not enough on which system at what angle in what environment? For Ukraine, working with the right mix of systems and doctrines could mean the difference between silence and sirens, between destruction and survival. So let's compare the tools in the toolbox. The Patriot PAC-3 MSE is a U.S. heavyweight. It fires the MSE Missile Segment Enhancement Interceptor, high velocity, hit to kill, meaning it destroys targets by impact, integrated with radar tracking, battle management systems, globally fielded, battle-tested in the Gulf War, in Iraq, in Israel, in Saudi Arabia, but its geometry is optimized for certain flight envelopes. Search tracking sectors may leave gaps, and it is vulnerable to creative trajectories, terrain masking, and saturation attacks. On the other side, you have the SAMP-T for Next Generation, a joint Franco-Italian system produced by SAMP. It employs the Aster 30 missile family, offers 360-degree engagement sectors with integration of radar SAMP-T fire domain, designed not only for high-end air threats like aircraft and missiles, but short to medium-range ballistic threats. Because of the design of the sensor suite, the engagement geometry is broader, and the system appears less dependent on single large radar geometry. When Russia shifted the Iskander profile, the SAMP-T's architecture appears to be better suited to cope. What stands out here is how Russia adapted. They didn't necessarily build a new Iskander variant, though they might have tried. They reprogrammed trajectories, angles of attack, flight durations, and optimal launch windows. That's a tactic nightmare for defenders because it means no fixed solution. The key changes reportedly include launching from more suppressed or less expected positions to reduce early radar cueing, in-phase trajectories that avoid head-on approaches, which Patriot interceptors are optimized for, shifting into side or tail shots, shortening the engagement window, and exploiting terrain masking and timing to neutralize radar readiness. Oh, and then flooding defenses with saturation waves. Facing that, a system optimized for fixed geometry becomes vulnerable. Speed still matters, but the where and the how dominate. Now, the SAMP-T's resilience comes down to its broader engagement profile because it uses multi-mode sensors, distributed command and control, and missile geometry that can engage threats with more flexible arrival vectors. It suffers less from blind spot attacks. Also, SAMP-T's integration includes both radars and networked fire units with faster handoff between search, tracking, and kill chains. Patriot remains extremely capable, but when its gaps are known and exploited, its intercept rates plummet. For Ukraine, that means a system like SAMP-T offers a better chance at restoring anti-missile credibility. It also means the value might lie not just in more Patriot batteries, but in smart layered defenses, including mixed systems that cover each other's weaknesses, stuff like that. So the big shift here is this. Air defense is not just about better missiles, it's about better architecture. It's about the interplay between sensors and shooters, timing and geometry, and threat adaptability. When the enemy rewrites trajectories, the defender must rewrite doctrine. For Ukraine and its partners, the lesson is hard-earned. You cannot rely on any one system, thinking it will work unchanged. You must anticipate adaptation, you must plan layered redundancy, and you must accept training, integration, and intel as much as missiles. It's a reminder that the best missile in the world is useless if it never sees a target because the target came in via a hole you left unattended. So here are the key questions Ukraine and its allies must ask in the coming months. Do we have enough systems like SAMP-T or equivalents to cover all the key corridors against ballistic and cruise missile threats? Are our radars, sensors, and GCI networks optimized for non-traditional trajectories? Can we detect missiles launched from unexpected angles or low-terrain corridors? Are we training pilots and battery crews for missile adaptation, multiple launch windows, saturation waves, ballistic plus cruise mix? How do we integrate systems so that Patriot, SAMP-T, IRIS-T, and NASAMS are all layers covering each other? Are we building industrial and logistic resilience so that when Russia adapts again, we can respond with upgrades faster than they can test them? If Ukraine answers yes to these, then intercept rates will climb and missile penetration rates will fall. The story here of the Patriot faltering while SAMP-T wins matters because it reveals the future of high-end air defense. In Ukraine's war, each missile down is a day survival bought. Each system optimized is fewer cities getting cratered. If Ukraine can exploit systems like SAMP-T, integrate them with fighters and with missiles, radars, and with doctrine, then we will start to see the next phase of air dominance shift. The enemy isn't invincible, but he's learning, and when someone learns faster, they survive better. This also explains why the West must stay aligned with Ukraine's goals. If for nothing else, then the intelligence sharing that we're doing and all of this valuable intel we're getting about the Patriot success rate against real Russian threats is invaluable. If Ukraine falls, I believe there'll be a global war within 5 years. We have to protect Ukraine. They are the shield protecting Europe and the West against the invaders. It's up to us to make sure that shield stays strong. Okay, that's it for today, friends. And always remember, in a modern war, you don't just fight the enemy in the sky. You fight his trajectory, his radar, his math, and his assumptions. Subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss future videos. It really is the best free way to support this channel and other human creators that you like to watch. And as always, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Crimea is Ukraine.